Hello. Good morning. In all honesty, I have had a bit of a rough weekend emotionally, but I have finally made myself sit down in front of the camera and make this video that I've been anxious about. I felt it was a good time because it snowed last night, so I woke up to snow on the ground, which I wasn't expecting. I knew there was gonna be a winter storm this weekend, and I have kind of been waiting for it all weekend. It started last night. It started to rain, and I've just been kind of getting cozy and watching movies and stuff. I started working on this vest that I am excited about, but what I'm gonna be talking about today back in front of the fireplace is my making goals for the year 2025. I thought I was gonna do a knit and chat with me, but I think this project is a bit too involved and I don't have any other simpler projects to work on right now. So it's just you and I. So yeah, if you want to grab a knitting project and hang out with me, this is, the perfect time to do that. If you want to, I have a nice mug of tea here. And I'm hoping to keep this relatively short because I really don't have that many goals and they're kind of loose. And I'm not gonna be like really mad at myself if I don't accomplish these goals, but I also wanted to make sure that they are accomplishable for me. So with that being said, my first goal for making this year is actually to learn some mending techniques, at least one. I have a bit of a pile of things that like have holes in them that could be mended or could be patched a little bit, and I want to learn how to do those things. Like there are some beautiful like Japanese kind of embroidery techniques that I would love to learn because I already know that I like embroidery, especially stuff like I don't do a lot of like running stitch, chain stitch, like embroidery like that, but I do know how to cross stitch and I like cross stitching. So the like Japanese, I think it's called shashiko, where it's like you have a pattern and you basically backstitch the pattern, going one way and then the other way all the way across, over like a reinforced patch over a hole. I've seen videos like that, and things like that that I think are really cool and interesting and a good way to not only preserve your clothing but like add some lore to the pieces that I have. So yeah, I would like to learn some kind of mending technique this year in 2025, because I think being able to preserve your clothing for as long as possible should be a discipline when you are also trying to make your own clothing. And in order to make clothing last, you need to know how to maintain it, and some things just wear until you get holes in them, and I think it is valuable to know how to fix the things that I make as well as making them so that they can last a lot longer and I don't have to contribute to the whole cycle as much. My next goal is to basically just complete a sewing project. I have a sewing machine. Sewing for me was one of those things that I was not wonderful at it when I first started, and so I kind of gave up on it. I like put my machine away and stuff, and moved with it, and I haven't touched it in a long time. But I know that I would like to take up sewing as a hobby as well, just like to learn the basics of it. And I need to get comfortable with my sewing machine, the whole process of like sewing anything really. I'm not very patient with that process like I am with knitting or crochet. So yeah, a goal of mine is basically to complete one sewing project. Yeah, and within that, just like being patient with myself and knowing that even if I even if I make mistakes, that they're fixable, and just like, you know, gentle parenting my way through gentle parenting myself through learning a new hobby that will be valuable. My next goal is to learn how to knit a new sweater construction technique, either like a drop shoulder sweater or a saddle shoulder sweater, or I have ideas for a color palette for a petite knit Celeste sweater, so maybe the fair isle, I guess, like a stranded color work circular yoke, that's what it's called, a circular yoke sweater or garment. I know how to do raglans, and I can make panels that would one day become a sweater, but I would like to learn at least one other top construction technique this year. After that, that's like a knitting goal. My crochet goal is to make a raglan top. I've made different crochet tops in different ways, but I've never done a crochet raglan. I've knitted a raglan sweater, but never done a crochet raglan, so I would like to make a crochet raglan top. I have possibly the yarn that I might use for a crochet raglan top. We'll see. I need to block the swatch that I made last night just to see if I even like it, or if I should maybe wait on using the yarn that I had this idea for. Last night I got kind of bored and I didn't want to work on the knitting project I have right now, so I thought maybe I should look at what I have to see if I can make something out of that. And I grabbed a bag of yarn that has been sitting in my closet for a little while and gotten a little bit inspired, so I made a swatch. But by the time I was done making the swatch, I wasn't quite sure if I liked it, so maybe I need to swatch again in different stripes or something like that. But I want to make a crochet raglan. That's the bottom line. I might have a plan for it already. It might not work out. We'll see. After that, I would like to cross stitch onto a jacket maybe, or a tote bag with waist canvas. I have been served on Instagram this person who uses waste canvas to cross stitch designs onto already like finished pieces of clothing, and she or they, I don't know if it's a he or a she or a they or whatever, they post reels of them removing the waste canvas, and it's just like, I mean, I can picture them in my mind, but I don't know how to describe to them. There used to be these like tags that would come off of like furniture or something, and I would rip them up. They're like woven and like covered in plastic kind of dust kind of stuff, and they would sometimes they would fray, and then I'd be like, oh my gosh, and then I would take them apart. But these reels where she's removing the waste canvas from their cross stitch patterns that they like have cross stitched onto like a denim jacket or whatever, are so satisfying like that, and I just like, it makes me want to do a project like that. So that is my like embroidery cross stitching goal for the year. And then my last goal is to finish all the projects in my basket of whips or like potential projects. It's basically, I have a basket of a whole bunch of projects that need to be frogged, or yarn that I bought on a whim that I need to use up before I'm allowing myself to buy more yarn for new projects, because I need to shop my stash. I need to stop spending, I mean, I have stopped spending as much money on yarn as I have in the past, but I would like to be more intentional about the yarn that I buy in the future, instead of just like seeing stuff online and being like, gimme. My goal for the future is really to only buy the yarn that I have a project in mind for. Yeah, I think the only reason I would buy yarn before I finish all of those projects is in order to complete a project I know I already have. Like, for example, I made a hat and I had a whole bunch of leftover yarn from that hat, so I started making a scarf, and then I ran out of the mohair that I was using for making the scarf that I had already used most of to make the hat, and the scarf is not long enough to be considered a scarf, so in order to finish that project I'm gonna have to buy another ball of the mohair, but like, that's really all I can see myself buying in the near future. But yeah, I do know that when I finish the last project in that basket, I will be treating myself to the yarn that I'm gonna need for 2 of like my dream sweaters. So that is what's motivating me to finish these projects. Most of the stuff you're gonna see from me in my making vlogs is gonna be like me making pieces, so from that basket of my stash yarn that needs to be used up. Not all of my like stash yarn or yarn scraps are in that basket. It's just most of what I have that I can complete a project with. So yeah, those are my making goals for this year. I would love to know about what you're working on, what your goals are for the year. If you're interested, I will be posting kind of walkthrough. I guess it won't be a complete like tutorial walkthrough, but I am writing up like a loose pattern, and I'll be putting out the color work charts for this project that I'm working on right now. And yeah, with that being said, thank you for listening. Love y'all. I'll catch you in the